Toya Jackson, welcome to our show Profiles.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And you look beautiful.
Why, thank you. It's good to be here.
Sure, and of course it's been quite a year for you thus far.
Yes, it has been, Mickey. It's been quite a year. It's absolutely right.
I mean, you started off with The Celebrity Apprentice.
Yes, I did.
And you were a big hit there.
Well, thank you.
Probably the first time you were selling pizza on the streets of New York.
Absolutely. That was an experience.
It sure was. But prior to appearing on Celebrity Apprentice, you said, people don't really know the true me. After Apprentice, do you think they do now?
Yeah, I think they got a chance to really know me, to know my personality and who I am. And it's very interesting. Wow, geez, I didn't know you were the way you are. Well, how am I? Because you know yourself. You're just being yourself every single day. But I think being on Celebrity Apprentice, doing things out of my element, but still maintaining your personality of who you are.
And I've often heard you comment that you wish that Michael, millions of his fans, got to know him more for who he was.
Yes. I think that that would have been probably the best move that he could have ever made had he shown them that side of him that the family knew and no one else knew. I mean, a great performer, a very extremely talented person, great heart, but just to see that fun-loving person around the house and making jokes and taking care of the kids and making sure they go to bed and they eat on time and not too many sweets, that side of him was so loving and so caring that no one ever knew.
Well, you talk about it extensively in your new book, and the new book, congratulations, is called Starting Over.
Well, thank you.
And I know you put a lot of hard work into this. And you write about many of the struggles you faced growing up as a Jackson, and also later living in an abusive marriage.
Yes.
One of the motivations for you, I read in writing this book, and you said, was to possibly help end the horror of abuse that other families and women are experiencing.
Yes, it's so true, because a lot of times, you know, as you and I sit here and we speak, there are so many people in the world right now being abused.
Sure
and
is.
we think nothing of it.
Yep.
And the people that are being abused feel that they don't have a lobby and they can't get out of that relationship and they don't know what to do, they don't know where to turn, they don't know where to go.
Right.
But they have to realize and understand that when you're being abused in any way, whether it's verbal, physically, or mentally, you must do something about it, and you must do something about it immediately. And a lot of times we feel like, well, maybe that person didn't mean to say that. Well, there are no maybes to it.
No.
When it happens once, it's going to happen again, and that's when you should really remove yourself from that situation and start over and start anew. There are places that women and men can go. There are shelters.
Absolutely.
And we don't feel that there are places out there, but there are.
Can I read a quote from your book?
Absolutely.
This is what you said. For the longest time, I didn't understand that abuse is a universal horror that happens to women of every race, religion, and social class. And you went on to say, I was ashamed that I let it happen to me, so I tried to pretend that it didn't. And that's what most people do.
And that's what we do, and that's why I'm speaking out. I am the voice to let you know. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to let people know that you're being abused. It's the strangest thing, Mickey, I have to tell you. I was being abused for so many years and for so long. And one day I happened to be in Italy. That's all in the book, as you can read.
Yes,
It's the story's just... Anyway, 6 months, he says, after 6 months you can get an annulment. We happened to be in Italy. 6 months came and I said, it's been 6 months, please can I get an annulment? And why did I say that?
That set him off.
He grabbed me and he started banging my head on the corner of the table and just banging. He says, I own you. Who do you think you are? I own you. You're mine. You belong to me. I'm never going to let you go. Don't you understand that? And he kept beating me until I was just black and blue.
Is that the time he thought he had killed you?
No, that's not the time he thought he had killed me.
There was another time.
That was here in New York when he thought he had killed me.
Right.
But that time, getting back to
Yes.
the time in Italy, and this is what too many women do. That morning, we were leaving to go back to the home in London.
Right.
So he asked my Alpa to come and help me pack. So she knocked on the door and she said, Latoya, I'm here to pack your clothes. Mr. Gorton sent me. She says, I need to come in. I go, no, it's okay. I'll take care of everything. I'll pack my own clothes. And she says, no, is there anything I can get you? And I said to her, no, not really. And then I hesitated and said, well, you know, as a matter of fact, you can. You can get a bucket of ice for me. But I want you to leave it outside the door. And I said, just knock and let me know it's at the door and you can leave. So she did that. Yeah. And I waited. I gave her a couple of beats, a couple of minutes, thinking, okay, she's gone. Right. So I opened the door and I just reached out to get it, and there she was standing. And Mickey, the first thing I said, and I don't know where this came from, when she saw me, I said, oh, I slipped in the shower. That's the first thing that came out of my mouth. I protected him without even realizing it. I told her I slipped in the shower, and she just said, okay. And it's so sad.
Now, as we mentioned, in '93, your husband had thought that he had killed you.
Yes.
And my question in both instances is, after that having been done, why did you stay?
This is something that a lot of women do and they don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
They instill such fear in you that you feel that you cannot leave. He had so much control and so much power over me, Mickey. He would lock me in the house when I lived in Paris, because you lock from the outside. You lock the person in.
Sure.
When I lived here in New York, I never had keys to any place. He would close the door and say, don't you leave. And I wouldn't. I would not. After it was all over, I said, you silly idiot. That's all you had to do was open the door and walk out. And I'm encouraging women, get out of that relationship.
And in
You
retrospect,
can't do that.
if you could live it over, you would have left.
Oh, absolutely,
Absolutely.
because I'm a much stronger person now,
Sure.
and I look at it differently. And when you do leave, and when you speak out, you're helping others, and it's very important.
Yeah. I do want to mention, in March of 1989, your Playboy cover and photos hit the newsstand. That edition, I think, is the biggest seller in Playboy history. Are you aware of that?
Yes. Why, I don't know.
Well, it
but-
must have been the snake.
There you go. That's what it was.
But is it true that, because, most thought that you posed for that spread to declare your independence from your family.
Yes.
In truth, in the book you write, I was extremely embarrassed by the photos.
Yes.
Why so?
Absolutely. During that time, I was told to say, and he had me make me say that this was all me. This is something I wanted to do. And he would have me say he had nothing to do with it. It's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And this is the control that he had. And if I didn't say what he wanted to, well, I'll go into that deeper.
Right.
Of course, how he had threatened me.
Yeah.
However, no, my mother knew better. That's not my daughter. She would never do that. It's so funny because Hugh Hefner and all the people, the staff and Playboy, they thought I was the most ridiculous thing. Because I thought I had to do it in a nightgown. I didn't know,
heard
because
that.
I had never seen it. So I thought it would be a nightgown. And they said, I can't believe she won't take anything. It took a while. It took days for me to...
And you cleared the room of a lot of
cleared
extra
the
people,
room,
didn't you?
And I cried and I cried, and it accidentally just slipped, the little that slipped in. And then he jumped off the ladder, the photographer, and said, call Hugh Hefner, FedEx is over. We got a picture, we got a picture, we got a picture of something. But she's just, it was a work
funny.
of art to get her to do this.
Yeah. Go back. I want to go back to the book again, because at one point in your marriage, you shared your abusive situation with some others, and I think a lot of people do that in that situation when they start reaching out for help. And you, interesting, you reached out to members of Kool and the Gang, with whom you had written songs. And for those viewers out there who don't know your many talents, you're also an accomplished songwriter.
Yes, yes.
And you wrote
Yes.
you wrote some hit songs.
Yes,
too.
I have. I've written Reggae Nights. I
Yes,
liked the
that's a big
reggae a
hit.
little bit, which was Jimmy Cliff. It was the
Yes.
biggest song ever, actually,
Yes.
in Paris. And I've nominated for Grammys for songs that I've written. But these are things that the world doesn't know.
Right.
Yes.
Can we take our 50-second flash round?
Sure.
Okay. Favorite thing to do when you're not working?
Visit children.
Really?
Yes.
And where do you do that?
I love it. I love going to hospitals, seeing kids. I like to
Really?
bring them balloons, toys, anything. It's just wonderful. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm visiting my nieces and nephews.
Person that you'd most like to have dinner with?
That's a very interesting question. The person I'd most like to have dinner with, I don't think I could ever do that, because it would be Jesus Christ.
There you go. Well, that's well said. Biggest show business thrill?
I think it's a thrill at the same time, but it's like now that I'm older, it amazes me.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget my brothers being in concert, and I'm watching them, and they're on stage performing, and girls are fainting and screaming over them, and all the paramedics and the stretchers are coming out, and I'm going, you're screaming over these guys? I mean, come on, really? And they're just fainting. They're my brothers. But it was such a thrill that I'm older to see that this is how much they love them, and I thought nothing of it.
Of course.
But now I understand it.
That was a thrill. Now, we're coming up on his second anniversary of his death.
Yes.
And we all miss him, and millions of his fans miss him.
Well, thank you.
But how would you like him to be best remembered?
For the person that he was.
Yeah.
A very genuine, loving, caring, honest, just a person who was always there wanting to help. What a lot of people don't know is that my brother was in the Guinness Book of Records for donating to the most charities ever in the world.
Wow.
And he has given over
that.
$400 million of his personal money to different charities. And he would sit there and watch television, and what was ever on the news, if there was a kid starving or people in this country starving, he would cry. We would cry, and Michael would cry, and he would make the phone call and say, send them $3 million. And he was constantly doing this. Help that family I just saw on television. Don't say it came from me, but send them $1 million.
And didn't want credit for it.
And didn't want credit. And
That's
that's
even more
another thing
important.
that people didn't know. His heart was so pure. And he would always say that, which I love this part about him, because
Yes.
he would always say, I would say, you're so talented. And he would always say, no, I'm not. He said, God is using me to do this to the world. It's God using me as the vehicle. It's not coming from me, it's coming from God. Well, the same way I was taken advantage of, Michael had the same personality, because we were both devout Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes.
And people just take advantage of those personalities.
Yes.
They take kindness for weakness.
You're doing a lot in your life now to help others.
Oh, yes.
But what do you hope that Toya Jackson's legacy will be?
I would just like to really, really be remembered as a person who made a difference in the world, who went out, who spoke out, and who changed people's lives by telling them to start over with their life, by showing them that there is a new path that you can take. It's never too late to start over, no matter what it is. It doesn't always have to be abuse. Whatever your problems are, you can always start over. And that's what's so important. We don't realize that. We can always start over. I always say today is the first day of the rest of my life. So make the best of it.
Make the best of it. I just want to say one more time, thank you so much for stopping by
Oh, you're welcome.
today. And one thing your fans should know, you're really a nice person.
Why, thank you.
But I just want to say one more time, this book, I read it over the weekend. It's riveting.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great read. And the name of the book is Starting Over.
Starting
and
Over.
what it is, it's a heartfelt memoir, sure to inspire anyone who feels their life is falling apart and that there's nowhere to go.
That's right.
And you're living proof that there is somewhere to go.
There is somewhere to go. I'm living proof. I'm still here. You can always start over, so please do.